Hello everyone, True Zero Emissions here. So I did confirm today that the Roger charger is auto sensing. Who knows what that means? Input voltage auto sensing. Well, so we're using here 110 or 240 or 110 or 220 volt power, right? And I want to use this charger. I want to be able to charge my scooter because I'm using the Wolf King GTR. I want to be able to charge it from a regular electric vehicle charging station, like a level 2 charging station. I want to be able to use it all charging stations, but to begin, just level 2 is fine, right? That's a pretty common one. That's for electric vehicles. That's considered, to me, that's considered like a slower charging. But for this, it would be very fast for this scooter because it's plenty of power, I think, for us. That's just my thoughts. You might want faster charging than that, but. So I needed to know, I didn't see any switch on this. I didn't see the switch between 110 and 220. So I did confirm today that it's auto sensing. I had read that it was, but I like to confirm things to be sure because that's very important, because if it's not, and I plug it into too much power, it can burn an electronic charger. It can just burn a charger outright if it's not the proper power. So I've been running this off of 110 volt. I've been using this off of the 110 volt, which is just the regular wall outlet. But I did order it's called a J1772, and then it's 5, meaning connecting to, so it's a J1772 connecting to a 5-15, I think is what it's called. And that's what our plugs are, like the 110 outlets. My understanding is that's a 515, right? A 5-15. And then the level 2 charging, which is the electric vehicle charging stations, the ones that are, well, they're just called level 2 charging stations. They have a J1772 plug. So I have an adapter now that I ordered from Alien Rides, the website. And Roger, the maker of the Roger charger, the original maker of the Roger charger, I was watching a video on him and he mentioned Alien Rides website. If I recall correctly, he said that these chargers are available on that website. And then I also found the adapter there on the website. So I went ahead and placed an order, and it said there wasn't a lot of those left, so I went ahead and ordered one. I did also see those, what appears to be something similar on AliExpress, in that, even though that may be significantly less price-wise, I just thought, you know, Roger mentioned Alien Ride's website, I'm going to go with that, even though he wasn't talking about the charge adapter. If he's mentioning the website, I'm just going to go ahead and go with that one. That was my thoughts on it. At some point later in time, I may order the AliExpress J1772 to 5-15 charge plug adapter at some point in the future just to test it. But I don't see why I would want to, especially if the Alien Rides charge adapter is working. So the adapter is just allowing me to plug in a regular plug, which is this plug. Right, just plug this regular plug here into, it'll adapt this over to plugging into a level 2 charging station and allow it to work so that I can actually charge my scooter there. And that's making more sense because I would go on these long scooter rides and then I would have to charge somewhere, and I you know, we have to be careful where we're charging because not everyone's okay with someone charging a scooter. A lot of people are okay with it, just ask permission. But if no one will let you charge, you know, your scooter and you have to get home still, it can be a little frustrating. But there's plenty of level 2 electric vehicle charging stations. There's many of them everywhere, and they're building more all the time. And on that note, I do want to say, if you ever see one that's not working, be sure to write down all the information at the charging station and call the number, and you can just take pictures while you're there and then call later. That's what I would always do. And then see if you can let them know that the charger's not working, and see if you can request, which I do this myself, request that they get the charger working as soon as possible. I had an electric vehicle for a time period, and I would do that because a lot of times the charging stations were non-functional. But more than ever, people are getting electric vehicles, and especially since the sale of new gasoline cars are going to be outlawed in California, that's already in place in terms of the plan for that to go into full effect, to be enforced. and not too many years away, just a few years away. So I mean, my thoughts are now it's like, is a gasoline car a good investment right now, right? Because the loans can be 5 to 8. I think they're 5 years up to 8 years, and by that time the cars around that time the cars, if you can't buy a gas car, a new gas car, then how much is the car going to be worth for resale, right? But electric vehicles are just, everyone's seeming to support that now, because to say the least, the battery technology has matured, and the entire electric vehicle is matured. Because I say it that way because for a long time there was talk on the internet about the technology not being matured yet. Sadly, gasoline was never able to mature to the point of being a clean fuel, because it's just not, it's it's not a clean fuel. But to go back on the subject of charging, so I labeled my dials here, amps and volts, and we can just go over some of the notes I wrote here. So our input voltage is auto sensing. That means it'll switch by itself if I plug it into the wall here, or if I plug it into a level 2 charger with an adapter. It's gonna know what voltage is coming in. It's gonna adjust accordingly. And then the output voltage, I read that it could be as low as 1 volt up to 140 volts, or 5 volts up to 146 volts. So I don't know what the correct numbers are. We could say 5 volts to 140 seem to be for sure, and there's a possibility that it can go down to 1 volt and up to 146 volts. I haven't tried that. I don't have any plans to see what the limits are on this in terms of voltage wise, because my battery here is a 84 volt battery, which when I charge it I set it to 85 volts, and then I just watch it very carefully. Let's see, output current up to 15 amps. Okay, now when I say notes Roger, yeah, that's what Roger had noted on, I think it's called Telegraph. There's an app. Is it Telegraph or Telegram? I'm sorry, I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's Telegram or Telegraph, but it's there's an app, and that's where Roger can be contacted. But like I was saying, he did mention that these chargers are available on Alien Ride's website, so that's another option as well. And if you want to be able to charge at the level 2 charging stations, which is going to provide a lot of power, right? Available. It doesn't mean you have to use it all. The user manual with this scooter, which is the Wolf King GTR, the user manual says it's an approximate 3.5 hour charge at 10 amps if you're running 2 5-amp chargers, right? 2 5-amp chargers. I wasn't able to locate the fast chargers for this at this time, and it came with 2, I don't remember the amperage of the original chargers. They might have been 2 amps each, which is 4 amps total, right? But in the book, in the user manual, it said we can go up to 10 amps. So that's what I've been doing. I've been charging at 10 amps, and everything stays cool, room temperature. The wires, the battery, everything's good. This is a really good battery in here. This is the best battery I've had in a scooter, and I've had a lot of scooters. I've had many different Dualtron scooters, Dualtron Storm, Dualtron Thunder. I've had a Nami Bernie Viper 60 volt, the high voltage system, sorry, the 60 mile per hour 84 volt Nami Bernie Viper. Although it was the first one, and I read that there was some questions about the quality of the first batteries that were coming out, and they weren't sure about them. So it's possible that the Nami Bernie Viper that I had might have had a less than ideal battery. I'm not sure though. The range was still good on it. It just, when it charged, it seemed like it had a lot of resistance, meaning it would get warm and it wouldn't charge very quickly. This one doesn't get warm, and it charges very fast. Even with the stock chargers that came with it, it would just charge up really quick. When I would run it all the way down to 0, it would just take a charge like it would just fill up really fast. So when I run 10 amps, it also charges it quickly. So this is my dials here. This is the volts, amps. I'll go ahead and walk through the process real quick about how to operate this charger. This is a plug I made from the original chargers. I just used the plugs from the chargers that the scooter came with, because those are the correct plugs, right? And I was very careful to test polarity to make sure I was connecting them correctly. And those got connected into this plug, which goes into this charger here. Okay. That goes in there. And this plug's called a, let's see if I can read this, XT60. It's an XT60 plug. And that plug stayed room temperature as well while using it. And I went ahead and used both of these, right? I could have just used one, but why not use both, right? So I just used both. So the process, the way I run the charger is before plugging it in. Well, what I'm also doing is I'm plugging the charger into this power. This meter actually tells me how much power I'm using. And then this can be switched on and off as well. This whole power strip can be switched on and off. So what I would do is I would plug this in and switch the power off. And then with the power off, no power going to this, turn the amps dial. And I'll do it right now. See the amps dial there? That's our amps, right? That's the current. So if I turn it all the way counterclockwise, it stops right there. Excuse me. You see how it stops right there, almost at the top? Now if we turn it clockwise, it stops right there. So we want it somewhere in the middle. Okay? I would say that's approximately the middle, right? Right there, around 5 o'clock. That's my approximation of what the middle is. With that at the middle, we go ahead and power up the charger. And I'll make videos of this, of charging the scooter. So with the amps at the middle, we go ahead and power the charger up. And the charger is not plugged into the battery yet that we're going to charge, right? So we want to set the voltage on the charger with the battery not plugged into the charger, right? Now the screen, the display, is on this side. Okay. The top display is voltage. The bottom display is amperage. Okay. So I'll leave that there for now, and I'll just talk about it. So the top display, the top LCD screen, or I don't know what we call that kind of screen. It's not an LCD screen. I don't think it's an LCD screen. It might be considered an analog screen, but I'm not sure what that's called, the correct word for it. But the top screen for volts, we turn this dial until the voltage is where we want it. And if I recall correctly, clockwise, turning this dial clockwise will increase voltage. It'll go up. So I set that dial for this battery, and please confirm this from people that know more than myself. This battery is 84 volts,